You're watching Saturday Story Time, 26 December 2020 edition. Hi, welcome back to Saturday Story Time. Let's get started. Here, Kansas and the FAA have agreed to establish a supersonic test corridor. These planes are going to be flying at Mach 3 or 2,300 miles per hour. This will provide a critical testing site for an emerging group of supersonic aircraft. Civilian supersonic flight is banned over land right now. This will be a bi-directional racetrack running from just southwest of Garden City to near Pittsburgh. The path runs over Wichita. So one could say that aviation will be booming in Kansas. This Australian company named Future Feed has developed a super seaweed supplement to reduce the amount of methane gas that cattle give off, and they've won a $1 million prize for this. This is Seuss developed seaweed feed product. Cattle burp and fart methane into the atmosphere. This is like taking 100 million cars off the road. Methane stays in the atmosphere for about 9 years. That's far shorter than carbon dioxide. However, it has a global warming potential that is 86 times higher than carbon dioxide. The first Guardian of Space Force has been named, and he's a NASA astronaut that's currently on the International Space Station. Colonel Michael Hopkins has served in the Air Force for 27 years, and he's voluntarily transferred to Space Force. He's going to continue serving as a NASA astronaut, flight engineer, and SpaceX spacecraft commander on board the International Space Station. The name Guardians borrows from a command motto of the Air Force Space Command, Guardians of the High Frontier. General J. Raymond, the Chief of Space Operations of the Space Force, welcomed Hopkins on board. Today, you will be the first Space Force astronaut who will be living in space. We're glad to have you on our team. You also get the award for Best Dressed Astronaut. You can see here, Hopkins is wearing a black short-sleeved polo displaying the U.S. Space Force logo on his chest. Congratulations. This is an interesting story, one you'll probably want to keep your eye on. The 737 MAX, it's basically a fully optimized design of the 737. They're trying to make it as big as possible and as fuel efficient as possible. But it was involved in 2 fatal crashes that killed 346 people. Now they're trying to recertify the 737 MAX, and the Senate Commerce Committee has raised questions about Boeing coaching the test pilots. This is involving the safety system known as MCAS. We're going to talk about that in a moment. It is alleged that Boeing encouraged test pilots to use a particular control during the exercise, resulting in a reduced response time to around 4 seconds. But other tests without the coaching took up to 16 seconds to react. So this MCAS system is basically an anti-stall mechanism. The sensors were faulty, and there was a design flaw that repeatedly pushed the nose of the aircraft down. So you're the pilot in the cockpit, and you've just taken off, and now you switch on autopilot, you settle in with your cup of tea, when all of a sudden the anti-stall sensor goes off and starts trying to push the nose of the airplane down. You set your tea down, and you're frantically trying to pull back up. And this happened to 2 flights. This resulted in 2 fatal crashes, the Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. But the agency is confident that the safety issues that played a role in these tragic accidents have been addressed through design changes and required and independently approved by the FAA and its partners. So the Ninth Circuit Court has rendered an opinion in favor of Dr. Seuss Enterprises over this Star Trek mashup, Oh, the Places You Will Boldly Go. You can't just take Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You Will Go, and put a bunch of Star Trek theme images in it. That's not transformative enough, and it doesn't amount to fair use. So Circuit Judge M. Margaret McKeown begins the opinion with a quote from the Dr. Seuss book. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. And she continues, if he were alive today, Dr. Seuss might have gone on to say that mashups can happen to you. The creators thought their Star Trek primer would be pretty well protected by parody, but acknowledged that people in black robes may disagree. Indeed, we do. Apparently, someone ripped off Dr. Seuss' book Cat in the Hat and tried to do a parody illustrating the O.J. Simpson murder trial, and that one failed too. So a gold miner in the Yukon found this 57,000-year-old mummified wolf pup in the permafrost, and it's so well preserved everything is intact but the eyes. The wolf's fur, teeth, and soft tissues are intact. Researchers think the 7-week-old pup died after her den collapsed. The 7-week-old pup was in her den when it collapsed and the animal was killed instantly, but was frozen intact and buried under permafrost. This is a very rare find. By examining this body, researchers can learn more about what the Earth was like during an era when it was much colder and broad swaths of the world were covered with ice. They can also find out how ancient wolves lived and what they ate. On December 14, it was a total solar eclipse. And NASA has a program that encourages amateur astronomers to review the data from the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, or SOHO. So this Pi astronomer was the first to find the comet through this program. So you see this here in this video. The comet rises slowly up towards the sun. And watch for that arrow going by there. There it goes. So this comet's named C2003X3 SOHO. And it's a Kreutz sun grazer. It's a group of comets that have a common point of origin and they're fragments of a much larger comet. To date, 4,108 comets have been discovered in SOHO images. This comet being the 3,524th Kreutz stargazer that has been spotted. The comet not only appeared in SOHO views, but it was also seen in shots taken from the Earth. But you wouldn't have been able to see it with just a casual observation. It's 50 feet in diameter, traveling at 450,000 miles an hour, and its moment of glory was short-lived as it disintegrated to dust particles due to the intense solar radiation. Researchers from Arizona State University have found this American alligator juvenile specimen that has regrown its tail. While lizards have the ability to regenerate lost limbs, it wasn't thought that larger reptiles would be able to do this. This discovery was made almost entirely on accident when the remains of an alligator that had regenerated part of its tail were found by the researchers. So this is a new research paper published in Scientific Reports. Juvenile American alligators appear to have the ability to regenerate portions of their tails. An alligator tail was sent to a team of researchers at Arizona State University, and they were able to determine that its tip had in fact regrown. The tail was slightly discolored and its scales were significantly smaller than they should have been, based on the age of the animal it came from. They used X-ray scanning and MRI machines to examine it as well. There were a lot of similarities with this regenerated alligator tail and lizard tails, including presence of cartilaginous structure, scale patterning, and coloration. They also saw regrowth of peripheral nerves and blood vessels. Certainly, Australia is never one to be outdone. They've discovered this gigantic swamp king crocodile fossil. Yeah, Australia is known for having a pick of the bunch of terrifying animals with spiders, snakes, jellyfish, and crocodiles. But you can breathe a sigh of relief that this guy still isn't around. This was first found in southeast Queensland in the 1980s. Prehistoric croc measuring over 16 feet. They've officially identified and named it Paludirax vincenti, or also known as Swamp King. The largest crocodile in modern times is this Indo-Pacific crocodile, Crocodilus porosus, and it grows to be about the same size. But Paludirax has a broader, more heavy-set skull, so it would have resembled an Indo-Pacific crocodile on steroids. When you first read this headline, New York State suspending the use of facial recognition technology in schools, it sounds like a good thing. But they're actually just pausing it while they study the use of facial recognition technology in K-12 schools. So it's on hold now, through at least July 1st, 2022, or when the study is completed and schools are authorized to use it, if it's found appropriate. The study will also provide restrictions and guidelines on proper use. It's been in use in both public and private schools. We're talking about K through 12, so I'm wondering what proper use of facial recognition technology is on K through 12 students. Keep an eye out for this. In this touching story, a baby elephant was hit by a motorcycle, but it received CPR from an off-duty rescuer. The elephant calf met with an accident while crossing the road with its herd in the eastern province of Chanthaburi on Sunday night. Manas Ravate, a rescuer, was called to the scene even though he was not on duty. It's my instinct to save lives. So he can be seen in a video applying CPR with both hands on the elephant's chest. Sravate's colleagues were helping the motorcycle rider who was involved in the accident, but fortunately he had no serious injuries. When the baby elephant started to move, I almost cried. Look for the link in the description down below to my blog, where you can find the URL to this story and all the others, and see the video for yourself. Astronomers have harnessed artificial intelligence, and they're going to make these poor bots count 100,000 moon craters. This is something a planetary scientist would or could not ever be able to do. They're breaking the lunar surface into billions of pixels and learning how the gray dots are related using this new algorithm. This is going to be the most extensive database of moon craters so far. And here is another article on the same topic. The moon has way more craters than we thought. So they've counted up to 109,000 previously unknown craters on the lunar surface. Let's take a look at these images here. It's interesting to see how they break up the moon's surface into pixels to help identify these craters. So if you're watching Saturday Story Time, then the Earth dodged a bullet. Yes, there's a Christmas Day asteroid twice the size of the Statue of Liberty, and it's going to come past the Earth. This is dubbed 501-647-2014 SD224, and it's going to come within 0.02 astronomical units or 1.9 million miles of the Earth. The asteroid is estimated to measure anywhere between 302 feet and 689 feet in diameter. That second number would make it more than twice the size of the Statue of Liberty. 1.9 million miles sounds very far, but it's actually relatively near in astronomical terms. It's just under 8 times the distance between the Earth and the Moon. When it flies past the Earth, it's going to be going 22,000 miles per hour. So maybe you weren't able to get PlayStation 5, but don't despair. There's the KFC console. Yes, Kentucky Fried Chicken has a gaming console. And it's real. And it's got a drawer to keep your chicken warm. So this was announced back in June. There's actually on Twitter, there's a handle KFCconsole that tweeted about it, and everybody thought it was a joke. But on December 22nd, KFC unveiled an official trailer for the machine, featuring what appears to be a prototype of the model. This official press release from KFC and Cooler Master, a US-based PC specialist. They designed the machine and confirmed that KFConsole is real indeed. Yes, it's real. A spokesperson for Intel, which worked with Cooler Master on the Bonkers console. It's powered by Intel, and it has a chicken warmer. I don't know if any of you remember this, but back in October 15 of 2009, there was this hoax called Balloon Boy. Now these parents in Colorado at the time had made several appearances on reality TV shows, and they were looking to up their creds. So they pulled off this hoax. They built this large UFO-shaped silver balloon, and then they called the police and said that their child was missing, and they thought that maybe he had stowed away on board this balloon. And police and National Guard undertook an expensive effort to find the boy. They believed he might have fallen from the balloon somewhere over Platteville, Colorado. Nobody ever confirmed the total amount spent on the search for Balloon Boy. And just hours later, Balloon Boy was found hiding in his home. It became a legal quagmire for the family after CNN's Wolf Blitzer asked Balloon Boy why he did not come out when he heard his parents calling for him. The child said, "You guys said we did this for the show." Police and prosecutors alleged that the family had coordinated the stunt to make their family more marketable for a reality TV show after they had appeared on Wife Swap. Richard Heen ultimately pleaded guilty to a felony charge of attempting to influence a public servant and served 30 days in jail. Mayumi Heen pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor for false reporting to authorities and was sentenced to 20 weekend days in jail, which she spent on a work crew. The Heens have since maintained their innocence, saying they believed their son was in the balloon. They've insisted that they only pleaded guilty to avoid deportation proceedings for Mayumi, who immigrated to the United States from Japan and had not yet become a citizen. Now, the governor of Colorado has pardoned the parents of Balloon Boy. It's still something I can never forget. Look in the description down below for a link to my blog where you can find the URLs to all the stories we just talked about. There's an article for every episode of Saturday Storytime, and it's fully searchable, so you can do in-depth research on any of the topics that you find of interest. Thank you, and have a great week. Thank you for watching Shitoku Tech. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share.